17 years is a long time. Long enough to build a life, raise 2 kids, buy a home, and weather storms together. I thought my wife, Claire, and I had done just that. We weren't perfect. No couple is, but I believed we had the kind of marriage people envied. We laughed often, argued rarely, and celebrated milestones side by side. Our children adored her, and I trusted her completely. If you had asked me a year ago what my biggest worry was, I would have said paying off the mortgage or saving for college. Infidelity? That wasn't even a thought in my mind. But life has a cruel way of pulling the rug out when you least expect it. It started small. Claire became distant. She spent more time working late, glued to her phone, guarding it like it held national secrets. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Her job had deadlines, her team relied on her. But then came the lies. The girls' nights that didn't line up. The odd expenses on our joint account. The hollow excuses that made my stomach churn even before I knew the truth. One evening, when she said she had to work late again, something inside me snapped. I drove to her office. The parking lot was empty. That was the first blow. The second came when I traced her phone location. It pinged at a hotel across town. I sat in the car for 20 minutes, shaking, debating whether I really wanted confirmation. Finally, I walked inside. And there she was, my wife of 17 years, laughing in the lobby with a man I didn't recognize, his hand on the small of her back like it belonged there. She didn't see me right away. I saw her first. And in that split second, my entire world crumbled. I wasn't looking at the woman I'd built a life with. I was looking at a stranger. When she finally noticed me, her smile froze. Her eyes widened. And I'll never forget the color draining from her face. The man shifted awkwardly, removing his hand, but the damage was already done. I didn't shout. I didn't cause a scene. I just turned and walked away. My silence that night was louder than any words I could have spoken. By the time she came home, I had already packed her things into boxes. She tried to explain, to cry, to beg, but I couldn't even look at her. The betrayal wasn't just in the cheating. It was in the years she let me believe in a lie. The years she let me carry the weight of trust while she chipped away at it behind my back. That night, something inside me broke, but something else hardened too. I knew this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the beginning of a battle. And for once, I wasn't going to be the one left broken. The morning after everything unraveled, Claire sat at the kitchen table with swollen eyes, clutching a mug of coffee like it could somehow fix what she had broken. She started with the same tired phrases cheaters always use. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I still love you. But to me, those words were empty. If love still existed, I wouldn't have found her in a hotel lobby with another man's hand resting on her like she belonged to him. I listened in silence, letting her ramble until she realized I wasn't going to respond. Then I placed a stack of papers on the table. She looked down and froze. They weren't just papers. They were the start of a divorce filing. Her mouth opened as if to protest, but I cut her off for the first time in 17 years. You made your choice, Claire. Now I'm making mine. I'll be filing for full custody of the kids. I'm keeping the house, and whatever's left of my dignity will not be destroyed by your excuses. Her face went pale. She wasn't expecting that. She thought I'd crumble, beg her to stay, fight to work it out. But what she forgot was that betrayal doesn't just kill love, it kills weakness. And I wasn't about to let my children grow up in a house where lies and infidelity were normalized. The days that followed were a blur of meetings with lawyers, collecting evidence, and bracing myself for the storm that was Claire's denial. She tried everything: guilt, anger, manipulation. She said the kids needed her, that I couldn't tear the family apart. But the truth was, she had already done that the moment she chose to step outside our marriage. The kids, that was the hardest part. Sitting them down, looking into their innocent faces, and trying to explain without shattering their entire world. I told them as gently as I could that Mom and Dad were going to live separately, but that Dad was going to fight to keep them safe and secure. They didn't fully understand, but they clung to me in a way that told me they knew, deep down, who had always been the anchor in their lives. Meanwhile, Claire's mask began to slip. The confident woman who thought she could have it all, husband, family affair, suddenly realized she was losing more than she bargained for. Friends who once admired our marriage started whispering. Neighbors stopped waving as warmly as before. The man she betrayed me with? He didn't stick around once things got messy. And I'll admit, a part of me felt grim satisfaction watching the empire of lies she built collapse around her. But more than that, I felt something I hadn't in weeks: clarity. I wasn't just fighting for revenge. I was fighting for my children, my stability, and the dignity she thought she could strip from me. She had chosen selfishness. I was choosing strength. And in court, strength mattered more than crocodile tears. The first hearing was scheduled. And as I walked into that courtroom, with my kid's future on the line and Claire trying to mask her guilt with forced composure, I realized one thing. I had already won. Not because of the law, not because of property or custody, but because I had chosen to walk away with my head held high while she drowned in the consequences of her choices. The courtroom was colder than I expected, not in temperature but in atmosphere. Lawyers shuffled papers, the judge adjusted her glasses, and Claire sat across from me, avoiding eye contact. I could see her hands trembling, though she tried to steady them. For once, her confidence was gone. She wasn't the woman who laughed at dinner parties or made plans for family vacations. She was just exposed. My attorney presented everything clearly: financial records, text messages, even hotel receipts. Evidence of betrayal stacked so high that not even the best excuses could knock it down. Claire's lawyer tried to paint me as rigid, unwilling to forgive. But every time they spoke, I thought of my kids. Forgiveness was a luxury. Their stability was a necessity. When it was Claire's turn to speak, she broke down. Tears ran freely as she begged the judge to understand, to see her as a good mother who just made a mistake. She said she never wanted to hurt me, that she still loved the children more than life itself. And maybe part of that was true, but love without respect isn't love at all. The judge listened, then looked over at me. "Do you have anything you'd like to say?" I stood up, my voice steady. "Your Honor, I am not here to punish Claire. I am here to protect my children. For 17 years, I gave everything I had to this marriage. I didn't walk away when times were tough. I didn't stray when temptation was there. I stayed. And I would have continued to stay if I hadn't discovered that the trust one built this family on was shattered. I don't want revenge. I want stability for my kids. That's all." The silence after my words felt like an eternity. Then the gavel came down. Full custody to me. The house awarded to me. Claire would have visitation rights, but the court agreed. The children's primary home would remain with their father. As we left the courtroom, Claire crumpled into her chair, sobbing. A part of me wanted to comfort her. The part of me that once loved her. The part that remembered late-night talks and the way she smiled at our kids' first steps. But that man no longer existed. She had buried him the moment she let someone else into our marriage. Walking out of that courthouse with my kids' small hands clutching mine, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. I wasn't carrying the weight of her betrayal anymore. I wasn't replaying the lies or the excuses. I was thinking about dinner with my kids, about laughter echoing through the house that was still ours, about the life we would rebuild together, stronger, cleaner, untouched by deceit. Claire's shadow would always linger in some way. She was their mother, after all. But I had made peace with that. What mattered was that I didn't let her betrayal define me. I didn't crawl away broken. I stood tall, protected my children, and kept my dignity intact. 17 years of marriage had ended in the ugliest way possible. But as I watched my kids race ahead of me in the parking lot, their laughter chasing away the heaviness of the day, I realized something powerful. Sometimes losing someone you thought you couldn't live without is the only way to finally reclaim yourself. And in that moment I knew I hadn't lost. I had won everything that mattered.